Just a week ago, Syracuse was handling business and winning the games they were supposed to win. Then came a trip to Chestnut Hill against Boston College and an 18-turnover day that resulted in an ugly overtime loss. That trend continued Wednesday night as the Orange put up a dismal second-half shooting performance and fumbled the game late to Virginia Tech. Now, SU head coach Adrian Autry are in a similar spot, fighting for job security and a chance at meaningful games in March. Syracuse hopes to stir up some home cooking against Miami's side that has dropped its last 2 games. Cuse countdown returns for a monumental must-win game in the Dome for the Orange, and it starts right now. Oh yeah, the music's back. We're back inside our CitrusTV studios. AJ Myers alongside Alex Burstein and Dan Shalam. Guys, it's basketball season in Syracuse. There's no better time, right?
Well, the only good thing about basketball season is it's when we hear about all the preseason All-American stuff for Syracuse lacrosse, because that's the only good thing on
Alex.
the hill right
Come
now.
on, come on, Dan. Give me some optimism.
Well, my positive, it's starting to get a little bit warmer day by day, and that means the end of basketball season.
I don't know about that. Well, it was not a good day Wednesday night for Syracuse as they fell to Virginia Tech, and Adrian Autry was extra emotional late in his post-game press conference on the rebounding issues.
We got a clean look to tie it up. That's all you can ask for. Then, we get another chance and we walk under the basketball, under the rim, and we don't get the rebound.
Oh my, a really emotional and heated Adrian Autry. Probably the most emotion we've seen out of him in his 3 years, Alex. I think he had every right to, drop the expletive there.
I mean, I guess so, but you have to remember a lot of these errors have been because of the coaching staff. I get the anger of Autry, and I mean, it seems like the clock is kind of running out for him to do something and save his job, so there's definitely some frustrations, but before you start dropping the F-bomb in press conferences, change something about your team.
I don't mind it, to be honest with you. I mean, he's clearly frustrated. And I don't blame that last second sequence on him. I mean, Donnie Freeman didn't rebound the basketball. Virginia Tech had one player in there. There was 4 Syracuse players that needed to get one offensive rebound. You can't blame Nate Kings for the look that they got. It was clean on the three-pointer. And overall in this game, for me, it just came down to another lack of effort in the second half. That's what led to the loss.
I can't remember the last time Syracuse played well in the second half. It's almost like a year ago. Oh, wait, it was. 2025 against Clemson was the last time Syracuse had any semblance of playing well in the second half. And that's not how you win basketball games.
And in the first half against Virginia Tech, Syracuse, they shot 60% from 3. The second half, it dropped to 30%. That was a big difference in why the Orange couldn't finish the job against the Hokies. Another big problem was Donnie Freeman. He had 6 turnovers, 18 total for Syracuse against Boston College, and then abysmal shooting performance, Dan, against Virginia Tech.
I mean, you just can't excuse it. I understand that Donnie Freeman is the best player on your team, and he's been giving you around 20 points per game, and he's been a top 5 scorer in the ACC. But it was crunch time, and he needed to do one simple thing, and he just couldn't do it. He couldn't rebound the basketball. Then you go a couple of plays earlier. His lack of effort on that inbounds pass that allowed a jump ball too. What are you doing there? Syracuse got bailed out because they had the possession arrow facing their way. But Donnie Freeman just showed that he didn't really care last night.
I think it also was for the first time a team understood how to guard him. If you look at Virginia Tech, just attack that right hand that Donnie Freeman is so reliant on. And the coaching staff even talked about it for Virginia Tech after the game. You watch the film, obviously Donnie Freeman's an electric player, but everyone has their weakness. Virginia Tech found it, and if that's how you stop Donnie Freeman, SU's out of anything.
That's how you stop Syracuse as a whole, because it's not like J.J. Starling is playing up to the level where he was last year, where he can carry you to the win. You need Donnie Freeman, and when he's been off, the Syracuse team has been off. You saw it in Vegas. You're seeing it now once again.
Now, there's no denying Syracuse has been better with Donnie Freeman in the lineup, but as you guys alluded to, the last 2 games, he hasn't performed well, and neither has Syracuse. And also that bench production, Tyler Betsy's looked really good in games, Alex, but outside of that, there isn't a whole lot of help there.
And this was supposed to be a deep Syracuse team for the first time in a couple years. You get a good load out of the transfer portal, and then you go to Saturday. Syracuse had not 1, but 2 points from the bench against Boston College, and it came in overtime. And it just hasn't been great bench production all season long. Syracuse has some weird rotations, still trying them out in January. You have to figure something out.
I kind of disagree with you here on this one, because what more do you want from the bench outside of that Boston College game? They've been giving you 25, 29, over 18 a game, really, outside of that Boston College game. They've been consistently putting up points. The problem has been your starters. You go to the Virginia Tech game, out of the 5 starters, your leading scorer had 12. That's not going to cut it. If you have 3 more points from your starters, you win the game against Virginia Tech. It's as simple as that. You cannot blame the bench for this one.
Is there a player that needs to be doing more off the bench? Do we need to see more consistent Tyler Betsy performances off the bench, Alex?
I think you need to see more consistent Sadiq White performances.
He had one of his best games, 11 points.
And he's had good games, and you see it every couple of weeks. But for a guy who is a 5-star prospect, supposed to be a star for this team, not nearly consistent enough.
I don't know why we're so hesitant here to not put Tyler Betsy in the starting 5 over Nate George. The way he's been playing as of late, Betsy's been really outplaying him for that spot.
And of course, Kyan Anthony was not too happy after the Virginia Tech game. He apparently went to after the hotel with Melo. Who knows what that conversation was like, but there's something that Carmelo Anthony can't fix. Maybe he can fix some other things, but he can't fix the turnover issues. 32 turnovers in the last 2 games for Syracuse. Dan, that's resulted in 38 points for the opponents.
It goes back to Nate George, who I was just talking about. He's averaged over 3 turnovers a game. And the really problem for Syracuse was 14 against Virginia Tech. That's not going to cut it. If you have a couple less against Boston College, you're probably walking out of there with a win. And it once again ties back to the coaching for Syracuse. They are not disciplined enough right now in turning the ball over carelessly, and it's leading to just points on the other end for all the other teams that they're playing. Alex, for me, it's just simply not been good enough.
I was so excited after that Florida State game where Nate George had 13 assists. It was like, okay, this is what Syracuse really got, and now he's back to his old ways. Only had 1 official turnover, but the point guard is the guy he's supposed to set
But how
up.
about this? Nate George right now has 62 turnovers on the team, and the next closest player to him is Donnie Freeman at 27.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big margin if you ask me.
And the whole argument with Nate George is he gets all these assists. He's a true natural point guard. But Alex, I mean, you can't be a true natural point guard if you're turning the ball over that much.
It cancels each other out, because for every assist you have, you get 3 points, then you turn it over, and the team scores a 3-pointer. You can't be having that trade-off.
And you saw those standings there. The 2 teams ahead of Syracuse, Georgia Tech and Florida State, some of the worst teams in the conference. So that's not good. Well, when we come back, we're going to head into the classroom. Dan and Alex, they're going to give some midseason grades on how Coach Autry and a few players have been performing for the Orange on the other side. Welcome back into our CitrusTV studios for Cuse Countdown, getting you ready for Syracuse and Miami. Alex Burstein alongside Dan Shalam. And we are back on campus here. Everyone's back in the classroom, so we got to play a little Cuse classroom here. All right, I'm your professor, maybe, or I don't know. I think we're both professors here. Let's start it. We were just talking about him, Nate George, but what about his backcourt mate, J.J. Starling? I thought he had a great 60 seconds there at the end of the Virginia Tech game, Alex.
Well, 60 seconds is not an entire basketball game, and these were supposed to be your star students, your returning star from last year in J.J. Starling, your highly touted transfer from Georgia Tech. And they've been below average, going from A expectations to a C- in guard play.
Oh, boy.
You need a lot out of your guards. And these are supposed to be your 1 and your 2 on the court. J.J. Starling has his flashes, but ever since Donnie Freeman has returned, he's taken the back seat and seems to not think he has to play as well. And then Nate George, we talked about a few minutes ago, the turnovers. Your point guard's turning the ball over 62 times. No.
That
Turnovers
certainly
are like
doesn't work.
absences.
I'm right there with you, Alex. So I'm going to give him a little bit more of a bump because we've seen a few times this season, Nate George and J.J. Starling do have the ability to win Syracuse a game, but you don't want it to come to that. And the problem that I have really with J.J. Starling, because we've talked enough about Nate George, is that he's a one-trick pony. You said he had a great final 60 seconds yesterday, AJ. That's the problem. He's just a downhill scorer. He can't distribute. You can count on him in crunch time, but he can't let you pull away in a game. And that's really been the problem for Syracuse. Last year, it seemed like he was more of a facilitator. Now that role's kind of gotten passed off to Nate George, but these two have not been working in tandem with each other. And I just don't think J.J. Starling has that X factor that he did last year. It just doesn't seem like it. It really seems as if that role has been passed on to Donnie Freeman.
All right, so 2 C's for the guard play, a C- and a C+. C's may get degrees, but guys, I don't think C's get wins.
No.
What about for these freshmen for Syracuse? ACC play, that's no 100-level class, Dan.
Well, I know Professor Burstein here is going to be a little bit more strict on them, but I think you're right. You got to cut them a little bit of slack here. I'm going with a B+ for these two freshmen because they have been doing really what Syracuse has asked of them all season long. Sadiq White is up to 8 points a game, around 4 rebounds a game, and that's off the bench. He's been doing a great job, but he's had more of an impact on the game, really, than the numbers say. He had 3 dunks last night against Virginia Tech. He has thunderous energy inside of the paint for this Syracuse team, and he really just loves to show it off. And then you go over to Kai and Anthony. The numbers at the beginning of the year were amazing. Double figures in 4 of the first 5. He also had 10 against Houston. He's cooled down a little bit. But everyone freshman year has their slumps, whether that be in the classroom or on the court. He's shown you he can still hit the big shot and be counted on in the big moments.
Well, Dan, my mom is a math teacher. Whenever I get a bad grade, she likes to remind me, a C is average. I mean, C is supposed to be the middle. And for the most highly touted freshman class, and who knows how long for Syracuse, that's all they've been, average. Sadiq White, as we mentioned, has just been on and off all season long, has a big game, and then does nothing. Donnie Freeman's back, so he's not playing as much. And then Guy and Anthony, he hasn't been a wow factor since, the Vegas tournament? You have to show up in these big ACC games, and that's why a C for these freshmen, it's just they're not performing up to where they could.
Did you see that three-pointer last night? The N1, sure, he missed the free throw.
One three-pointer?
Come on, that was a D3 4-point
That's like
play.
getting
I
one
like what
question right on the test and saying, okay, I deserve an A.
All right. Before we get to the big one, which is Adrian Autry, quickly, why is Kai and Anthony kind of faded away offensively, Alex?
I think he just doesn't have a set role on this team because when there were some injuries early on in the season, it was okay. He can play as the shooting guard, and you're playing against bad teams, so try it out. Try him as that too. And he did good, but then you play against these really good teams, and you realize, okay, maybe we shouldn't have the freshman. And it just hasn't worked since. The changing role has not.
It just seems
him.
like it's kind of a weird limbo
Exactly.
for him. You're playing 20 minutes a game, but you're not a starter, but you're in the big moments, but we don't actually want to put you on the court when we really need you. It's been a weird back and forth for him, and that can do something mentally to guys as well. It can kind of mess them up. When he was a consistent starter at the beginning of the year, he looked amazing. He was getting posted everywhere online. People were saying, hey, freshman of the year, Kai and Anthony. That momentum has kind of subsided.
Maybe he's nervous with his dad on the sideline.
Maybe I would be. Just 5 second-half minutes against the Hokies for Kai and Anthony. All right, here's the big one. Maybe the essay question. Adrian Autry. Alex, I'll start with you. What's the verdict on him?
Well, much like his language in the press conference last night.
Oh, no, close your ears.
Big, fat F on Adrian Autry. And that F, it's not for failure. It's for falling deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole. You had one necessary thing you had to do this season, and it was get Syracuse basketball back to the NCAA tournament. And very clearly, it has not happened. It's not headed in that direction. And there's just a lot of questionable coaching decisions. Changes in the lineup mid-game that you haven't seen all season long. The assistant coaches are sat on the bench the entire game. No energy. Adrian Autry has not turned this program around, and for that, you have to give him a fail.
Now, the only reason I give him a D here is because there's still time left in this season, theoretically. Now, I think he'll totally be fired if Syracuse doesn't make March Madness. However, and I just objectively, for all the grades here that we've put up, if all the students are failing the class, you have really nobody to blame but the teacher, and the teacher in this case is Adrian Autry. He has just not performed for Syracuse in the big moments, 3-9 against ranked teams. He has that Tennessee win. That really isn't that big of a win anymore after Tennessee has fallen off this season. But it's just come down to the fact that Syracuse is close. You can never get over the finish line. And it just seems like we're kind of playing the game over and over again every single year with Adrian Autry. Feels like you're stuck in 2023 right now in this 25-26 season.
Yeah, the midterms, he was maybe at like a C, treading
That Tennessee
water.
win and
the
the
Tennessee
win
win
got him a pass.
plus.
Yeah. He passed.
And then these losses, he goes lower and lower on the grading scale.
Well, this is a report card that would not get me $20 at the end of the day. All right, when we come back here on Cuse Countdown, we got to talk about these Hurricanes and the problems that they could cause for Syracuse on the other side.
Welcome to my house. Lately, not my happy place. Everybody's pretty tired of each other. The parents were not themselves. My little brothers were morphing into small creatures. The walls were closing in. Clearly, a case of too much family, too close, 24/7. And there's a lot of that going around right now. If this sounds like your house, try going someplace new. YourLifeYourVoice.org. You'll find lots of ideas to help you handle the family stresses of being confined to close quarters. YourLifeYourVoice.org. It might not get you out of the house, but it could help you find a little more breathing room.
Back here inside our CitrusTV studios, AJ Myers alongside Dan Shalam and Alex Burstein. Guys, the Miami Hurricanes were awful last season. There was no denying it. But Alex, they have completely flipped that on their head this year.
Yeah, and it's basically Miami did what Syracuse wanted to do this season. After a bad 2024-25 campaign, got some new hope, got a new head coach in Jai Lucas, and they've been great. A couple of losses recently, but still projected to be in the NCAA tournament, and it's all because of that offense, averaging 85 points per game, and it shows that what a team with a new coach can do. Hey, Syracuse, are you listening?
That's kind of ironic, right, Alex? 4-8 start last season for the Hurricanes. They finished with only 7 wins on the year, one of those being against Syracuse, which is just even more ironic in the grand scheme of everything. But 15-4 this year. They've been a really, really good team offensively. This little ACC skid here, I mean, that's going to happen throughout the season. They're still 4th in the conference, and that's a big thing. They're still very much in control. But for me, the interesting thing is they haven't had the big win yet on the season. They're 0-3 against ranked teams. They're kind of just treading water in the ACC right now. They're going to have to play a couple of tough teams. But one thing you can't deny, major improvement from last year.
Yeah, it was only up from last year, and certainly when the Orange went down to Miami last year, it was one of Adrian Autry's worst performances as a head coach. He'll be looking to change something today against Miami. And Alex, you touched on that high-flying offense. It's the 3rd best offense in the ACC. And Dan, what's most impressive is maybe 4 players averaging 12 or more points.
I mean, how can you stop all of these guys? And we're going to break down one of them in just a couple minutes' time. But this Miami offense has just been putting up numbers. If you go before this 2-game losing skid, 75 or more points in every single game but one. That's pretty hard to do. And for a Syracuse defense that's looked pretty shaky as of late, I really don't love their chances.
Well, the book is out on how you do keep this team from scoring, and it's you turn the ball over, because against FSU and Clemson, both a little bit slow on offense, not great games. So Syracuse says maybe understood what to do, and it's forced turnovers against this Miami offense, and you may have a little bit more success against this really, really potent Miami offense. 85 points per game, 5th in the conference, and have done really great work so far this season.
And how about Malik Reno? You can't stop talking about him. 19 points a game, near the top of the conference. This guy's put up double figures in every single game this year. He has just been absolutely on fire. He's going to be a big reason, Alex, as to why Miami, I think, is going to win this game.
Since returning from injury, forward Donnie Freeman has lived up to those first-round NBA draft pick expectations, averaging over 20 points a game and being a focal point of SU's offense. Saturday, Freeman stares down another dominant forward in Malik Renew. The senior is also putting up 20 points a game. Alex and Dan have more on the two players in this week's marquee matchup.
Well, these are two superstars behind us, Dan, and really the leaders of both of these squads, not only off the court, but a lot of points scored. And we'll start off with Syracuse's star, Donnie Freeman. And usually in this marquee matchup, we give one play, really dive into it. But he kind of does a bunch of different things on the offensive end for Syracuse. So let's take a look at what Donnie Freeman has excelled at this season. And obviously, he's a big guy. He knows how to get downfield, and he can dunk the ball. That we knew. We knew it last season as well. But what has really opened up has been this jumper. And you see the misdirection from the defenders. When Donnie Freeman is driving, he can either step back or he can pull up just like that. And that is what's made him so dangerous as a scorer out of this injury that he had earlier on in the season. Right here, look at the defender. He thinks he's going to shoot it, and then he drives, and then the very next play, he's coming towards the basket, whoop, pull-up jumper. That is where he has lived on the shooting end of things, has the three ball as well. Just so many different part of the skill sets for Donnie Freeman, and he has that catch and shoot three. He's very hard to stop other than that last game against Virginia Tech.
All right, so we've heard enough about the Orange. Let's dive into the other side of things and why Miami is going to come into the Dome and dominate coming up here today. I mean, Alex, you want to talk about Freeman's scoring ability. You go to the other side of Reno. He's just been on fire. He can go to the paint and simply finish on anybody, and especially in the ACC. He just loves to drag in all of the guys. He doesn't care how many people are in the paint. He's going to go in there and finish it every single time, just driving to the low block. You think you can body me up? I'm going to finish on you. I don't care. It's why he's got nearly 20 points a game right now in the ACC. He has just been so dominant for this team. And he can also hit the three ball. It's not like he's just a one-dimensional scorer. That's something Donnie Freeman is lacking a little bit. I want to focus in on this last play right here we're going to show you. Driving down to the baseline, brings in two defenders. He's crowded on both sides and still finishes at the hoop. That is pretty impressive. These two are going to be a true matchup to watch coming up in the Dome. But we got more to break down here on Cuse Countdown. We'll give you keys and predictions to the game coming up right after this.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Wrapping up shop here on Cuse Countdown, AJ Myers alongside Alex Burstein and Dan Shalam. Syracuse taking on Miami inside the Dome. We've broken down both teams, but let's see where Syracuse stands right now in the current ACC standings. Alex, it's a tough conference, much tougher than years past.
And that does help Syracuse out because it means that you have a ton more quad one opportunities the rest of the way. I don't think Syracuse is going to be on the ACC tournament bubble like it was last year because you still have some games that you probably will win and you have 3 wins in conference play. That being said, you have to win games against Duke, against Virginia, against Miami, who are all near the top of the conference to get to the bubble of the NCAA tournament. That's not realistic.
That is a tall task for Syracuse at this point. The disappointing thing is heading into last night, they were 6th. They were in Virginia Tech's spot, and they basically traded with the Hokies and are now sitting in 11th. So they're just making things harder on themselves as the season goes on. And you're right, Alex, at this point, you're probably going for better ACC seeding to hopefully make a run in that tournament to get you some quad one wins rather than get on the bubble of the NCAA tournament.
And if you get a bye in the ACC tournament, you only have to win 2 to get to the semifinals. If you don't, 3 games to get there. I don't think Syracuse
the
is
ACC
doing
tournament has not been kind to Adrian Autry's group in his first 2 go-arounds. You mentioned those quad one opportunities. Let's take a peek at Syracuse's schedule. There's some chances here, Dan. They could get some monumental wins, especially on the road. They're tough games, though.
But that's what I don't like about it, is that these 2 games are on the road, and Syracuse against ranked foes on the road has been quite poor. But you bring it up, 3 quad one win opportunities. If you can at least split that, you give yourself a fighting chance here to keep making that push towards the bubble. Those are going to be 2 hostile atmospheres, though, for UNC and Virginia, 2 places that Syracuse hasn't won in a long time.
The bad thing is, if Syracuse did not lose last night, you're in a position where, okay, you maybe win one of the ranked games and then the 2 others. Now you more or less have to win all 4 of these because when you play Duke, you're not guaranteed to win. You're not even really have a chance of a win against these bottom of the top 25 teams.
It's kind of going to be like, you go back to 2 seasons ago where you win one of those ranked games and then you're in the conversation, but it's just too little too late. And that's been the story of this team really over the last 3 years.
Well, and that's the problem. One doesn't even get you in the conversation anymore because if the rule is for every bad loss you lose a ranked win, then Syracuse has already lost its Tennessee win and it probably is in negative territory after the Boston College one. So you need 2.
Yeah, and they have that Tennessee one. That's the one quad win they have right now. Can they get a few others? Let's focus back to the Miami Hurricanes. Alex, what is your key for Syracuse to get a victory here before they can even look ahead?
I mean, I think it's really clear you cannot have the turnovers that SU has had in the past couple of games. 32 combined turnovers in the previous 2 contests for SU, and that's not going to work against a Miami team that really makes you pay when it has the ball. If Syracuse can protect the ball, it has a chance, not a big one, but it has a chance on Saturday. You
speak of protecting the ball. How about just finishing the ball game? Syracuse has led at the half in the previous 2 games, and then it's just fallen apart down the stretch. It could be coaching, it could be shooting, it could be effort overall, but Syracuse just has not looked clean. Where the previous 3 ACC games where they were winning in a row, they looked really strong. They did enough to get across the finish line. That really hasn't been there over the last 2 games, and they're going to need it badly against a Miami team that can really go out there and run away with this.
All right, well, all that's left to do is to give our predictions. I know I didn't fare too well for Fran Brown in football. I'm hoping to do a little bit better here with Adrian Autry's group. Alex, I'll go to you first. What are you thinking here?
Well, Miami is in a shooting slump. Syracuse is in an everything slump right now, and I'd much rather put the money on Syracuse not getting out of that and Miami doing so. I say 80-68, the Hurricanes ruin the day for Syracuse.
I'm going to follow that path. There's a snowstorm coming to Syracuse. Hurricanes also coming. Just all the inclement weather, even in the Dome. Syracuse is not protected. 82-70, the Orange are going to fall in this one.
Yeah, Dan, I don't think Adrian Autry would mind a trip to Miami. I think maybe
that would bring up some bad memories, though. I don't know if he wants that.
That is true. I'm going to go 85-75 Miami as well. I think this is going to be a kind of a dark path here for Syracuse the rest of the way. Things haven't looked too good that so far here in ACC play. Alex, they don't get the win, you don't think, against Miami. Is there a quad one win they pick off maybe?
I mean, maybe North Carolina skidded a little bit.
Maybe North Carolina State?
Yeah, but it's bad.
Well, they may have a dome crowd on their side. We will have to see. That'll do it for this episode of Cuse Countdown. For AJ Myers, Alex Burstein, and Dan Shalam, thank you so much for watching Cuse Countdown. Be sure to tune into Orange Press Pass after the game to get your full reaction from everything that went down between the Orange and the Hurricanes. That'll do it for right now. Thanks for watching, everybody.